of the things that we'll be pumping out here to our virtual learners. I want to welcome everybody in the house. All of our live webinar individuals are right here in the classroom. We're actually in our conference room. So good morning, Bryce, Jeremy, Claudia, and Miss Harvey. Welcome to the big show. You know, today I just wanted to connect on in a couple areas. The theme of today's webinar is intellectual curiosity. How do you increase it? And just kind of talk about some issues about how do you increase your curiosity and learning more. Right now, as we are into probably our 5th week in G2 Academy, we're either into our Play-Doh or our Trello or some of our courses that maybe aren't as stimulating as you'd like. Some of the biggest challenges you have for online learners is the motivation. And the motivation to continue, the motivation to press on, the motivation, and you don't have that dialogue face-to-face with your instructor as much as we really would like. And so how do you yourself build that curiosity, which leads to learning, which leads to success? So, you know, I had a talk this morning to Jeremy, who's with us today. Good to see you again, Jeremy. Yeah, I just had a great conversation a couple of weeks ago about some of the books and his passion for his German roots. I shared a video of his, which, Jeremy, if you don't mind, one of these mornings, I'd love to share that with the group. I think it'd be pretty cool because I haven't heard anything like that in a long time, a connection to your family history. And it was pretty, that would be a good example of intellectual curiosity. So Bryce, Jeremy, Claudia, Miss Harvey, and who else? We have anybody else in the house? David's in the house now. David, can you weigh in, David? Do I see you?
Yeah.
Hey, there he is. Hey, good morning, David. Welcome. So good to have a full house here in our live stream, and for those who are watching. Also, I noticed that we had 3 or 4 different views last night. Wasn't me looking at our piece yesterday. So let's get going. Our mission today, I want to open up in our agenda. Awesome. So more the merrier we have join us would be good. Natalie, welcome. Give me a thumbs up. You can hear me. Can you hear me, Natalie? Good. Good. Welcome, Natalie, to the webinar also. It's called intellectual curiosity. I want everybody in our virtual room to weigh in on this today. How do I increase my intellectual curiosity? And what is intellectual curiosity when we look at learning? And I'm going to click on, first of all, I'm going to start with a little exercise, a simple little exercise about intellectual curiosity. And I want everybody to weigh in the virtual world. When we look at this image right here, it's a curiosity exercise. What questions do you have about this picture? And I want you to look carefully, and I want everybody to come up with at least one question. And I'll go first. What one question may you have about this particular historical image? When you look at an image like that, maybe in a text or in your virtual pieces, you're like, okay, I have some inference about what may be happening, or maybe I'm still wondering about what's happening, but I want you to look deeper. And I'm going to open up with my question I have. I want you to look deeper through the photo besides what we call the focal point, which means the main, probably a person holding a child. We don't know if it's a mother. We don't know if it's an aunt. But I'm going to open up with my question, and I'd like everybody to weigh in. We'll go Jeremy. Will be up next. Claudia, Miss Harvey, and Bryce, and we'll go on through the line. So my question I have as I look at this image is, obviously the image to me looks like there's some sense of poverty. It's a black and white photo. So my question I have is, are they hungry? Are they hungry? And maybe it's not a real open-ended question, but it's a direct kind of closed question. That's a yes or no. But first thing comes to my mind, it looks like there could be some issues on food, and poverty led to that. Jeremy, unmute your recipe. You want to unmute when you weigh in. Go ahead, Jeremy. If you want to unmute and tell us what question may you have, or maybe even tell us about what we see.
Well, what I see is it looks like a war-torn economy, something like that. I don't know what time period this takes place in, but if it was World War I, World War II, you know, the Great Depression, anything like that, then you can honestly understand why they look like that. They probably live in a rural countryside, something like that. Because if you look at the house, it's made out of wood planks. It's not very sturdily built. So.
Good point. What question then? I like the way you just analyzed it. So give me a question.
What time period was this taken in?
Beautiful question. Thank you for your analysis too. Just a really good, you know, reflection on what you see. Thank you. I'm going to try to pause or mute mine all. Let's go to Claudia. I'm going to unmute you, girl. Or why don't you unmute yourself? You're going to have to unmute it for me. Okay, Claudia, what question may you have? Go ahead, ask. What question may you have when you look at this image? Go ahead, Claudia. I'll come right back to you when I need it back up, Claudia. Because we do like to participate in our virtual world. Like, Miss Harvey. Somehow I think Miss Harvey's resonating with me today. Go ahead, Hunter. What do you want to unmute? And what question may you have with this particular image?
Why are the kids barefoot?
Say it again.
Why are the kids barefoot?
Why are the kids barefoot? Very good observation. Any other observation you want to make based on this photo, this image? Yeah, all right. Thanks for weighing in. Bryce, you want to unmute there, buddy, and tell us what you're thinking.
Jeremy kind of answered or asked.
Yeah, he did, but you know, each of us have your own questions. He did a good analysis of it, but what question when you look at that? There was a question about, I asked if you're hungry, Jeremy asked about time period, Hunter was talking about why barefooted, well, just looking at the image itself.
Are they wearing those type of clothes?
Yeah, very good question, Bryce. What about the style of clothing? Did they even go in deeper? I'm sure Bryce is thinking, you know, did they buy those clothes? Did they make their clothes? Excellent question. David, weigh in for us, will you please? What do you have? Or feel free to make an observation and then follow up with a question.
Wonder like what their typical day is back then, because they probably didn't have electronics in that.
Ah, going deep, David. Hit that baby through the uprights. Nice. So what does a typical day look like? No electronics. So like, do you think it was centered around food, survival, or was there a lot of play involved, right, David?
Yeah.
Yeah, great stimulating question to, I call it a curiosity exercise. Natalie, thank you, David. Natalie, you want to weigh in? What's your thoughts? And then we got Logan in too. That's awesome, Logan. Give us, Logan may have joined us, but Natalie, give us your question or even an observation you have on this particular image.
One of my observations is that there are 3 kids there, and my question is what's going on, because the kids look confused, especially the little girl, and even the mother, aunt, whatever she is, she looks confused and kind of concerned. So my question is, what is going on?
Wow, you were even going a lot deeper there too. You're looking at, look at their eyes are looking at. They're not really looking at the camera, are they, Natalie? You're wondering where, yeah, you're going to a deeper sense of curiosity about what may be occurring. Because many times we look at photos such as this or imagery or a scene, and yesterday's discussion was on empathy and how we mirror each other's feelings and thoughts. We talked a little bit about empathy and how that impacts our life. But then kind of being more empathetic with this image too, Natalie, as you were kind of reflecting on that. Thank you for your insight. Logan, welcome. Good morning from Cairo, or good afternoon from Cairo, Egypt. I don't know when you joined us. I'm sorry I didn't see you in the house earlier, but we were talking about intellectual curiosity, Logan, and the question was, you know, as we look at imagery or ask great questions and make observations about imagery or events, that stimulates our intellectual curiosity. So, Logan, with our live virtual webinar, why don't you wrap it up and tell us maybe an observation and what question may you have about this image?
Why are they sad, and why do they have?
Say, I didn't hear the last part. Why are they sad and what?
Great clothing, I guess you could say, and great hygiene too.
So you two would talk about the clothing and why, correct?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we got about a 5-second delay. That's all right. It's only because it's 6,000 miles away, so I understand that. Well, thanks for weighing in, everybody. When you look at an imagery such as this little exercise was to get you thinking, stimulating some thought. And many times when we go into our coursework and virtual learning, we don't have that opportunity to bounce ideas off of other people because maybe we're working alone, and that's really the big challenge you have as an online learner. But that thought process you just went through is called metacognition. And if you've heard of that phrase, give me a thumbs up. You've heard of that phrase. If you haven't, no worries. Metacognition is just another term about thinking about your thinking. And it's really what stimulates good thought and good learning. And really, we all seek to learn. There isn't a single person in this virtual room right now who doesn't seek to know more or inquire about more information. I want to take a look at this short 2-minute video. And it's for those who may know John Green. He is a phenomenal YouTuber, but a phenomenal author. But this is called On Their Way to a Dance. And it's about imagery. It's about intellectual curiosity. And it really kind of reinforces when you look at an image, what is it really telling you? So let's lean in and hear what John has to say about intellectual curiosity.
Good morning, Hank. It's Monday. I spent much of this weekend in New York Central Park, and for some reason I kept...
By the way, give you a little background on John. His brother, Hank, they go back and forth with their videos and sharing ideas. And I think they're called the Vlog Brothers or Blog Brothers or Vlog Brothers, I think. And it's two brothers who communicate across the country about general ideas. Kind of a cool concept. And they share their ideas back and forth. So that's why he opened up Well, Hank. So let's hear his thoughts.
Kept thinking of my favorite photograph. So there was this German photographer, August Sonder, who's famous for his massive, never-finished series, People of the 20th Century, in which he took pictures of everyone from bricklayers to circus performers to famous composers. Along the way, he also took my favorite picture, this one, which is sometimes known as Three Farmers on Their Way to a Dance, 1914. There's a lot I like about this picture. I like how the farmers' heads are cut off by the horizon. I like how their faces are in the sky, but their feet are in the mud. And I like what the photograph tells us about class and history, that by 1914 mass production meant that these young farmers could afford suits and fancy hats and canes. For the first time in history, European peasants in the countryside could dress like, or almost like, urban professionals. But then again, they're still walking rather than driving in a car. These are young men on the cusp of what I think of as the contemporary world, and I like how they're looking over their shoulders as if they can only briefly pause for the camera before they head off to their futures, to the dance. It was the middle of 1914, and these three farmers were, of course, on their way to two dances, the one they knew about and World War I. Yes. These men very likely ended up fighting in that war, and they may well have been among the 17 million people who died in it. And the very same industrial manufacturing innovations that made their clothes affordable created the bullets and machine guns that made World War I so lethal. The three people in this photograph are living in the middle of history. Like, to us, the dance they were walking toward seems inevitable, but to see their faces is to know that it wasn't, that history is choices we collectively make about how to look at the world and how to respond to what we see. These three young farmers walking along a road in the German Westerwald 101 years ago remind me that I am also in the middle of history, and that how I imagine the world and the people in it really matter. Someone once told me that photographs are just light and time. And in this picture, August Sonder captured a hell of a light and a hell of a time. I pray we never see the likes of it again. Hank, I'll see you tomorrow.
Man. That's just powerful. I don't know about you, but it's the 100th anniversary for many of us in this room, virtual room, and myself included. We weren't around 100 years ago. I know I look old, but 100th anniversary of World War I. And as John Green finished up, I hope we never see the likes of that again. There's a much deep piece. And John Green, if there is a YouTuber you want to listen to, he's hilarious, he's informative, he's bright, he's got so much intellectual, it just oozes out his videos. And it's more than imagery. And it's how you look back at history. And the other day, and I know I was talking to Jeremy again, we were having this discussion about his German roots and his history. And it really resonated with me to see that it was almost basically coming alive in his voice when he spoke of his family and his German roots. And it was much deeper than how people perceive Germany during World War II. And I think that's what John challenges all of us to take a look at. And that's what intellectual curiosity really is. All of you have it. All of you strive for it. All of you seek it. But how do I build it? How do I continue to strive to become the better version of myself? Because really, we're here in an institution that, yes, A, cares about you, B, supports you, C, is trying to challenge you to become the best version of yourself. And that's what our virtual world is and virtual classroom is all about in our webinars. So I just want to leave you with this thought today, this Tuesday, is there's 8 ways that you could, and these are just Q-isms, just made that up. These are just suggestions. You know, I think if we had more time in a virtual world, we could sit down together and just brainstorm ways of how you think deeper, because intellectual curiosity is just about thinking about your thinking. You know, number 1, read for fun. Find readings that stir your soul. And you could even transform that reading for fun into blogging for fun, or podcasts for fun, or listening, learning for fun. You know, the second one is my challenge that I challenge myself. Learn a foreign language. I always say I can't. I got a boundary, a barrier. I'm trying to learn Spanish. I'm not doing very well, but I'm trying to break that barrier, trying to learn a new, because I know what it does for the brain development. I know when I learn new things, neurons connect, baby. And I don't care how old you are. That's what intellectual curiosity is. So I know learning a foreign language is building more synapses in my brain than ever before. That's a challenge. Uno, dos, tres, parlez-vous français, you know, all the words. There you go. You know, thank you, Bryce. You know, debate with a friend. I heard someone in this virtual room right now talks about having great debates. I think debates are great for friendships and great for building intellectual curiosity, because a debate stimulates and challenges your own thinking. And, you know, being a debater also makes you a better listener. And I think sometimes we don't listen, and empathy being our message yesterday. So debating with a friend or even an adversary really stimulates your own curiosity. Keep a journal. I've gotten off that track for the last 2 months, and I'm really disappointed in myself. I always had a journal by my bedside or get up in the morning in a routine. Keep a journal of your thoughts and write them down. People think, oh, diaries are not really what for me, but think about it. Here's something, as I misspelled instrument, so my goodness, as I'm in a hurry, so, and yeah. So it won't be my last mistake, and it isn't my first, so I apologize that too. Yeah. Oh, well, it looks like I thought I forgot an E in there, but I'm okay. Anyway, it just didn't look to me. Hey, we've got a virtual intellectual stimulation debate going on here. I love it. But play a musical instrument. I couldn't carry a note. But I'm listening to piano this morning, G2, as we're getting ready today. I'm like, wow, I'm amazed anybody who can play an instrument. And I know it's good for the soul. Guitar and banjo are the 2 that I'm trying to play and put on YouTube videos and learn. And my final suggestion on building intellectual curiosity, Hunter, is vocabulary development. How you can build your own understanding of words, make those powerful debates and journals and really conversations in a fun, meaningful way through crossword puzzles, Sudoku puzzles, so whatever way you can develop your own vocabulary. I got a little trick. I try to come up with a new word a day, and I try to do it in the morning. You know, even if it's a word I do know, but I want to have a deeper understanding of the word itself. So, folks, intellectual curiosity, how do I increase it? How do I build it? It's really about growing and learning. And it really is the essence of why we gather at these institutions called schools. Whether it's virtual, whether it's face-to-face, you never stop learning. And the older I get, the closer I get to the truth, and I find out how much I really don't know. So continue to learn, continue to be curious. Final thoughts from any of us live virtual students